But I'm happy that you are all here and we can continue with our next crane class. So hello. Okay, 1 second. I will change a bit the perspective of the camera before we start, because my legs are less important than the body. Okay, so we will start today or continue with the crane again, like last week. Start with similar exercises or the same exercises to get warm, to get into the topic of the crane. And then, of course, today we will also progress our work and add some information, add some exercises, and also finally get our feet into movement, because last class we did actually everything without moving the feet. And today we will then slowly also see, okay, because yes, the chain is also starting in the crane from the leg and is then going into the spine. And this will be an important part of today's class also. Okay, but before that, we go into our crane low yang position for a couple of breath circles. As always, arriving into the body, I will not more detailed introduce you to the standing, but take care that you yourself go through the key points first, looking for the structure, then settling the breath into your body, and then watching and observing how body, breath, and mind influence and can bring more depth towards each other. When the body found its round but aligned structure, the tension starts to release more and more to the floor. The breath suddenly has more space and is settling into our body. And make yourself also aware in which way you observe all these processes. what mindset you go. We want a mindset and a state of observation that is neither too ambitious, too much forced by our will and conscious mind, but at the same time also not dreaming away completely, losing the connection to the moment and our stance and the task to observe. So we look for something soft in between observing and letting go. And this soft mindset, state of mind is also again supporting how we hold our body. With a mindset that is soft, also the body directly is positioned and hold more soft in space. And also the breath feels again more free when the mind is somewhere there in the middle. And release the arms to the side, trying to stay in this structure, posture, in this soft mindset. Sorry. And going from here into the first Shen exercise of the crane, the releasing and dropping of the chest bone. Yeah, so we consciously, last time, pull the chest bone into the body, backwards towards the back, and at the same time, whoop, or after pulling, we release it again, and this brings it again a bit more to the front. So this inward, downward motion is more conscious. The motion back out, more relaxed. So we are not pushing the chest bone forward in this case now, but we just bring it back to something more neutral by releasing. Also, you can, like last time, directly If this is easy and you know this exercise, you can directly look that the chest bone is not one joint or one piece that you move, but that you separate already the lower part of the chest bone and then you pull the upper part of the chest bone in, so that you create a very small chain, lower part, upper part, and release lower, upper part. So as also explained last week, we often see our chest and the chest bone like one thing that cannot be moved in a separated way. This is only half true, because the movement of the chest bone is a lot relying on the movement of the spine that is behind the chest bone, at least in the way we do it now. So we can here observe how the segments of the spine behind the chest bone move in a separated way. This gives the feeling that first the lower part of the chest bone drops into the body and then the upper part follows. And this is also already quite difficult and advanced level of chest bone understanding movement. At the beginning, it's difficult at all to find the movement of the chest bone that we want to create in our martial arts. And then here it's even more to separate or move it even more controlled. At the same time, you don't want to lose the head position too much. So what you actively try to move is really the spine segments that are behind the chest bone. The rest stays in its position as much as possible without tensioning too much. Because we are quite blocked in this area, chest bone, spine segments area, it is also in the beginning helpful to really use a bit like tension to bring the chest bone there and to move it in this separated way. But then, as in every Shenfa exercise, you also want to look gradually how to do the same kind of movement, the same kind of work from a very soft spot. Moving into the stretch, into an opening motion, while at the same time not moving too far, so the muscles start to tense again. Because you want it maybe too much.
And one question.
You will see this mindset of staying somewhere in between, trying and letting, is following us throughout the whole Shenfa class. And this is an understanding in our movement art that generally will follow you and need to bring to all kind of practices. Then we go directly into the full motion. This means we start the movement of the chest bone now by the grabbing of the feet. We do the spiraling of the foot into the floor. This is pulling our tailbone down. Our tailbone is pulling gradually, segment by segment, the spine down until it reaches the chest bone. And here we stop the downward pull on the upper part of the chest bone. Then release the feet and release gradual also the rest of this posture again. So it's basically the feet initiate a downward pull. Tailbone, first the feet root into the floor, this creating a structure movement. Yeah, I say structure movement because this movement that you should feel should not come from tensioning the legs, but a feeling in the legs that my structure is changing through the movement of the foot. And this change of structure gradually walks up until it reaches the tailbone. From the tailbone, it continues by pulling the tailbone down, pulling the spine, and then pulling the chest bone also into this downwards pulling structure. It makes you directly more round in the whole body, but the focus of this should be on the chest bone also. And the understanding, okay, I can pull my chest bone in a chain motion through my body, through the spine, downwards. Then we create also something like a wave motion, pulling the wave, pulling the spine in this gradual movement down. It feels like a wave. And then the releasing is basically the other part of the wave. So it's a bit like from the feeling, like if I do it bigger now, like the tiger motion, yeah, that we know from the tiger. But it's still very different because the focus is downwards. In the tiger, the focus is upwards, right? So here we really have our yang part and the focus into the earth, whoop, and the yin part, this other part of the wave, basically. When the spine is releasing a bit again, whoop, is so minimalistic that it's almost not visible because it comes really from a releasing of the spine, not more. In the tiger, we emphasize both parts. We emphasize the upwards motion and the downwards motion. Here we emphasize first the downwards motion and then the upwards motion of the structure releasing. Yeah, that is happening through the structure releasing is really just letting go. So to summarize this one more time, it's about yang grabbing the floor, gradually bringing this round structure into the body until it reaches the chest bone and pulls the chest bone down. And then yin, it's this releasing from the floor, coming back to a neutral spine position. Still in our Qigong positioning ideas, yeah? Not suddenly standing curved and tensioning the lower back, but yang means really round and yin means, okay, relaxed round from what I call now neutral. Then with this work, you can also feel almost how only this wave motion brings already upwards movement into your body, heat into your body. Yeah, because we pull down, we create kind of a heat with that structure, and then we release this structure and allow this warm feeling to travel up through the relaxing of the spine. Then this is also the first start, how we bring this warming, upwards increasing movement and energy work into the crane. It starts with the chest bone motion and the activation of our heart organ, but also meridian. couple of more times. Still repetition from last week. Basically, this is why we will not do it too long. So I can also introduce some new things. And you can really see I'm moving here, but the movement is very small. This is why probably if you're too far away from the computer, it looks almost like I'm not moving. But if you get closer, you will see a slight pulsing and a very small wave motion. This is how it has to be. Visible from the close and from a trained eye, but invisible almost from the far and for untrained eye as well. Then we add the next part of this, the rotation. Because now we were always in the bending axis, but the crane also has both axes, rotation axis and bending axis of the pelvis and spine. So we lean always 45 degrees to the side, and then we activate the rear foot, the other side, spiraling into the floor. And you see the spiraling is creating again a structure in my leg. This brings my knee a bit out, whoop, and then we have this chain, spiraling, knee, hip joint, lower back start to curve, whoop, up, middle back start to curve, and it reaches the chest bone. Whoop, and when we're in the middle, you can activate as well the other foot, boom, and release here. So I start bending to one side, diagonal, and then I pull myself with the activation of my rear leg into a rotation motion for one, this motion, while at the same time doing the same work as before, curving the lower back, gradually from the floor to the chest bone, up, rotating. And then activating the other leg is pulling us a bit to the middle, because my right leg now, the leg that I'm pulling myself to, is pulling me a bit more to the right side. Then the activation of the left leg is pulling me the same way to the left side. So this is already a small addition to last time, that it's not just actually one chain, but we pull diagonal to one side and then activate the other leg. This pulls us a bit to the other side the same way. Boom. So we end up in the middle and release in the middle. So we have always first the opposite leg, then the same side leg, both are active, and then we release the legs and go into the yin part of the movement. Releasing gradually and neutralizing the positioning of the spine again. Then we rotate, activate. First rear leg goes into yang, pulls us into the rotation, pulls us into the roundness. Gradually. Then the left leg activates and pulls us also into the roundness, but a bit diagonal to the other side again. And then we are in the middle, and in the middle, we release the yang and drop into yin, a bit into the knees. And here we are now in a yin structure, but we still look very round because we go down. But this roundness comes now not from activating, but from releasing. This is the big difference. I introduced this now already quite advanced, this exercise in the very beginning of the class. But see that main focus is still that you see how the rear foot is creating a chain motion through your body into the spine, how this chain motion is traveling segment by segment, makes you more round until it pulls the chest bone in, first the lower part of the chest bone, and then even the upper part of the chest bone. Boom. And then the rest of the exercise I described now, to go back to the middle and is more already advanced, you can bring in if you understand it, if it's easy for you, the first part. But the first part need to be very clear. How do I create now a chain motion while rotating? Boom. And rounding my body. This is the foundation for the crane Shenfa. And mostly, even when people understand this movement, yeah, it's often they understand it, but they're not able to really move spine segment by spine segment. This is why it looks very incomplete. So the focus should also be now that you're really in this simple exercise that we have now and that we isolated the crane into, that you make also this focus, that you fill your chain motion with as much joints and awareness basically as possible. So that the movement that you create from the floor is traveling through as many points in your body as you can see. At the same time, take care that you do the yang part of this exercise now not too forcefully. The softer I accomplish this exercise, the more I can also really observe and feel parts in my body that I maybe in the beginning wasn't so aware of because they were too tense. Tension in this will always lead to that you combine joints to each other. Yeah? You block them on each other and you move them suddenly as one joint. The more relaxed you get, the more you can find the space in between. Take care that you don't stay too upright in the rotation. Like start the movement by bending already a bit forward. And then when you rotate back, you see my upper body is already a bit leaning. This makes it easier to really then find the roundness that we also later have here in the crane. That we okay, we take also now the legs in finally. So first, very simple, it's basically now the transition from Gungbu to Mabu. Yeah, so what is happening now? We are starting in a Gungbu position and stay not too far. Yeah, like it's not about now the stances at this point, but about how my leg movement together with the grabbing of the foot is initiating the chain. So it's actually the same exercise. Yeah. Now we are already leaning because of the Gungbu. And then, chuck, you open the rear foot, you grab. This is bringing your knee even more out because you grab into the floor. And then this is opening your pelvis and bringing the movement to your lower back. Lower back, then you pull the lower back down, then spine segment by spine segment, pull down. The other foot turns back into Mabu and is grabbing as well. In the moment I turn it in to the Mabu, it's starting to grab and pull me back to the middle. And then I release into the floor. And then I do the same to the other side. Open the front foot, close the rear foot. This is now known without Shenfa. And from here, basically, our Shenfa starts. Turning the rear foot, then grabbing. Grabbing is number one. Knee out, number two. Then start my pelvis movement. And the pelvis movement, see, when the pelvis is opening through the movement of the knee, it's directly also making space for my spine to bend more. And the pelvis, because my hip joint goes back. Yeah, opening the foot, grabbing, opening the knee. And then my hip joint circles a bit back and starts the downward pull of my spine until it reaches the chest bone. When it reaches the chest bone, my weight goes also already a bit more to the right side now. I was pulling myself to, so the other side can close. Then it can grab. The grabbing will pull me a bit to the middle again, to the left side. And in the middle, we release both feet, rounding in a releasing way. And then we do the same, yeah? So very easy, just the footwork is I turn the rear foot, grab, turn the front foot, grab, and then I release both feet, yeah? This is the footwork. One, grab, two, grab, release. But then, of course, it's not about the grabbing, it's about what movement is initiated by that and what chain motion we bring to that into our chest bone. It's all about watching how the foot is connecting with our chest bone and how the body in between has to give this connection on. This makes the crane. And then suddenly, like out of a simple foot movement becomes a hard activation through the pulling in and releasing of the chest bone. As I said it also last time, the crane is basically the Shen animal for the wave, teaching us how to guide movement gradually from joint to joint through a wave motion. The turtle, our topic before, was doing the same kind of work, but with the spiraling, focusing on the rotation and how spirals guide on movement in our body. The crane is doing this, focusing more on the guidance through the wave motion. And the better you get in this, the softer you do it again, this young part. The beginning is okay if you feel a bit tension, then take it more and more out. But don't become too minimalistic now, yeah? Minimalistic with tension, but not with movement range. The crane wants to move big. And I think actually it's here also helpful to do it a bit bigger, everything. Especially in the start of this kind of practice. And then later you can still look how to do the same work and get a bit smaller and play with the size you create these movements. I see the movement for many of you, but I see for some of you, the chest bone is not enough being pulled in. Yeah, that there is really from outside a visible movement happening here. Check this and see like the movement in there. They need to really, the chest bone need to move a couple of centimeters in space in the last part of the motion. Okay, and with this, anyway, we go now to the next exercise, and this is now from Gungbu to Gungbu. Okay, because in the crane we need both. We need the ability to go from Gungbu to Mabu in this part, yeah, And then later, when we come from here, we go basically in a gungbu, and then we go from gungbu to gungbu. Yeah, this is the second Shen motion you need. Gungbu to gungbu, first gungbu to mabu, then gungbu to gungbu. And it's the same work, okay? But here now it's even a bit bigger. We want really now to roll with the body down and to the other side. Yeah, so you really have this like from gungbu to mabu, it's also rounding and pretty big, but you stay more upright. Now from gungbu to gungbu, you really need to find the same work while diving one time down and then diving on the other side up. So I'm starting diagonal with my body. Then I am more than diagonal, forward with my head almost. And then I'm coming diagonal up. Yeah, this makes the Shenfa work actually a bit easier, this big movement. And it's also then later very important for the application, yeah, to throw someone with your shoulder while diving down. And yeah, this is also now helping a bit even more to this big motion to look for this chain. Boom, because it is again the same kind of chain. My rear foot starts, initiates the movement with the turning and the grabbing. The movement goes to my knee, to my hip joint, pulls my body down, and then my spine is gradually rounding. This is creating this rolling motion. Yeah, rolling motion of my body, but also like I'm rolling over my back. Yeah, I want to push with my back something. Try to find the best angle. Yeah, so it's the same work, gradual chain motion from the floor to the spine to the chest bone. But now it's a bit different because as before, because basically the most young point is in the middle of the movement. Yeah, when we are here in the middle, when we turn into the other gungbu, we release already again, both feet, and we are in yin. Yeah, structure, but the chest bone is a bit more free in this structure. In the young part, when we pull it through the foot into the floor, the chest bone is here really deep into the body, especially when we're in the middle here of the moment. This creates this connection for this takedown. And then when we come up to the other side, turning the rear foot, we can release the chest bone again. And again, release doesn't mean chest bone out, but it means neutral. So before, our yin part was basically when we sink down in Mabu. Now the yin part is when we arrive and rise up into Gungbu. And to have the yin part in the stances is also important because it's the grabbing sometimes takes also, if you would now grab in the end positions too much, it can also take away our stability and connection to the earth. Yeah, so the grabbing is most of the time used for creating movement from the floor, but then in the end positions, we often release again the foot to root through the yin power, yeah, and through the releasing down. It's not always like that, but often, and here in this case now it is like that. See that you still see the movement of the very beginning, yeah, with both legs, this wave motion basically. See that you still have it, and you can see how it's happening and how it's addressing your chest bone. The first rotation of the foot can also go here really more than just to Mabu, yeah, but really go to the other side. So it stands already correctly for the Gungbu more or less. So it opens and it opens until it's ready for the Gungbu on the other side. And so the grabbing comes here from the very end of the rotation. So my grabbing is not stopping the rotation movement of my leg. Yeah, see with your back a bit, when you do it very low, this rolling movement, that it's because it can create work in the lower back, but if you do it correctly, it will actually, it's a good pain. It's a pain of the muscle working. Yeah, it shouldn't be a pain of something in the joints hurting around the lower back, the spine. But if you have pain, it should be a feeling of exhaustion of the muscles and nothing else. If it's another feeling, then see that you reduce a bit the size of your stance, the size of the rolling motion, so that you work yourself carefully into this movement. Yeah, but if you working good with the grabbing and with the rear chain of your legs here, which is activating automatically more when you grab with the foot, then it's actually like strengthening also the lower back. And what also is a bit different here now is the timing of when you really start with the yang part, yeah, because you have a bit of collapsing and with the opening of the foot, because the foot has to open all the way to the other side. You really can take yourself time, collapse with the body, go already into a round position. And then when the foot grabs, then comes the active part that pulls you in the chain motion to the other side. So it's kind of like first, like I open my foot, go into a more yin kind of roundness, releasing. And then with the grabbing comes the rotation. And with that, more an active chain motion to the chest bone. Nice. Then we take finally also the arms into this. And now we do both Gongbu and Mabu. Yeah. So we do basically what I call the small crane movement, which starts now here in the Gongbu. Then we open into Mabu. Then we release the arms, turn again into Gongbu, and open into Gongbu the other side. Yeah, okay, so we start Gongbu one direction, we go to Mabu, then we collapse with the arms from here to the center and turn again to Gongbu, to the same side we started, and from here we go to the other side. Yeah, it's a bit adjusted version of this, what you know, in order to bring the emphasis to the Shen Fa. I go down, then I go back to the same side, and then I can, with my Shen Fa motion, pull myself into the other Gongbu and embrace with the arms. Pull myself from the Gongbu into the Mabu, sink down, release, go back to the same side, arms cross basically, and the body starts this rolling motion with the opening of the foot. And we embrace. Yeah. So see that you have the sequence, and the more clear the sequence is for you, the more you emphasize also the same kind of work that we did before. And the arms are just a nice addition to the body motion. So don't make now the mistake to go directly back to your old habits and then adjust your body to your old habits. But do the opposite. Like look at the movement as you practice it today and see how the crane movement is evolving through that into maybe even a bit different way as you're used to it from your habits. So what we can look at now is this chain motion that is created from the foot into the leg, into the back, into the chest bone. And from the chest bone, it's suddenly filling the shoulders, elbows, and in the end, the wrists. So when the arms arrive, the body is already in its yin structure, very soft. And in another class, we will also look at the relationship between the body yin and yang and the arms yin and yang, because some people that know the crane know also that there are, with the structure of the hands, we pass through yin and yang, and how we emphasize this yin and yang with the arms. But this is another topic, because it is also, yeah, it is also happening in a chain motion and quite tricky. So we first need the body motion more clear with the time, and then can add these informations. So for now, the arms can simply swing with your body motion. Maybe as a small help, you can have in mind, okay, how do I connect the foot motion with the chest bone gradually, and then the chest bone with the arms. Couple of more repetitions. Teresa, let your head not go too much down. Yeah, it's good, but like now you're more or less here. I think like here is enough. Yeah, that it's not already on belly level, but it's still like a bit over your belly. Yes, yes, this is enough. Yeah, because you're very flexible, you can go very low, but Andrea, achte darauf, dass mit dem Öffnen zur Seite auch die Arme schon langsam öffnen. Zack, 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 zack. Ja, dass du nicht erst die Arme öffnest, wenn du in der Mitte bist, sondern dass du hinten drehst du und die Arme fangen auch schon an, sich mit dem Drehen zu separieren. Sodass die im Mabu dann eigentlich schon voll auseinander sind. Genau, mehr das. Okay, very nice. The crane movement starts to change. It's nice to see how this classes, Shen classes, bring basically also from looking from the outside directly next level onto the movement. Okay, then come to standing, release. Really consciously stand one time, completely let go of the foot, completely let go of your pelvis. Sit soft with your lower back. Yeah, really this yin, relaxed structure now. Letting go of tensions. Maybe you feel a bit the lower back, then try consciously really to see that you release the muscles around the gluteus, butt area, but also in the lower back and chest area. Feel into your chest bone for a moment and feel the heaviness, the weight of it, without pressing it somewhere, but just being aware and enjoying the feeling around the chest. And then close 3 times. The exhale, let go 3 more times, from down to up, from up to down. And 3 times also to the center, the same. Letting go. Okay, very nice. Nice. Okay, this was it for today. Like, it's interesting here to observe this connection of foot and chest bone, yeah, and how we try in the Shen exercises really through the foot to reach to our organ area, I want to call it now, yeah. And this is something that reminds me a bit of also of foot reflex massage, yeah. We all know that you have these points when you massage them. You can reach the organs and through the reflex and nerval connection. And this is also something, for example, one of my massage teachers when I did my education, he was part of a research where they really, he did the foot reflex massage and massaged the area of specific organs. And they checked how the organ blood flow was during and after this triggering of these points. Yeah, and they really could prove there also that the blood flow of the organ is increasing through the reflexes of the feet. Yeah, and so it's so far what he told us there. It's already like a scientifically proven thing even through this research that he did there, and it's a bit, that's what I say, it's a bit reminding of this also, that in the Shenfa movement of the turtle, we activate the feet. We're not activating specific points necessarily, but we activate the foot. And then we see how it's, for the turtle, is focusing on the lower back rotation, right? How we create through the foot movement, lower back rotation. And so foot and lower back together bring stimulation to the kidney organ. And here we have this foot is activating, and through a chain motion, we pull the chest bone in. So of course, this chest bone movement brings movement into the chest area where the heart is sitting also, and therefore also able to stimulate in this idea the organ, and harmonize the area of the organ. So and with all the other Shenfa movement, it will be similar, like the foot movement create a body motion. The body motion stimulate an area where the organ that we want to reach is sitting, and therefore massaging and addressing this organ. And I just had this because when we stand now and we activate the foot, it's interesting to really look foot and this area as the main focus. In the crane classes now, always, as I said, look at your foot and the activation, look at the chest bone, and then the chain motion is just the space I fill in between these two. But the awareness you should be from the beginning, foot and chest bone, and the rest only the way to there. Okay, cool. Happy that you joined. I felt like a quite big group for Easter Monday. So I appreciate it that you took the time, that you're here even in the holidays. And I'm looking forward to the next online sessions next week, and also on Wednesday we have for the Xingyi again. For the Xingyi, just already now, like there will not be so many classes anymore. So I think 2-3 Xingyi classes maximum. So it's good if you don't miss them, if you take the form, the last information, and then comes at a certain point another topic on Wednesday. But about this we will talk more. Okay, so thank you for today.